Will Road build more private getaways like CocoCay and less destination countries? Love different cultures, but not just another private beach. I mean, they've already said from the get-go, when they announced the Perfect Day project back in 2017, whatever it was, their intention was to have a number of Perfect Day experiences. As an example, Labadee, we know, is supposed to at some point get transformed over to Perfect Day, and that hasn't happened, obviously, and the pandemic didn't help anything. We also know about Perfect Day at Lalepa, which is over in the South Pacific, in Vanuatu, which is on pause, but eventually that'll get built. And it's supposed to be, like, I think I remember at the time they mentioned like up to 5. So if you're doing your math correctly, that's CocoCay, Labadee, Vanuatu. You got 2 more left. But in terms of destination countries, I mean, obviously any port a cruise ship goes to is ultimately up to that country to develop the port. In some cases, the cruise lines partner with the country. Nassau, their new one is a partnership. Costa Maya is another partnership. Falmouth is another partnership between the cruise lines and the country. But more often than not, if you want a new place to go, especially in the Caribbean, the country has to develop its infrastructure to support it, which is usually at this point in the game, either they have it or they're not going to have it because they're either content with where they are or they don't have the money for it, or it's not conducive to get ships in. They don't have a deep harbor, blah, 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 so forth and so on. Do you recommend the massages? They're not cheap, but they're a great way to splurge yourself. On our last cruise on Navigator, my wife and I did a couples massage, which I don't think we've done a couples massage since like our honeymoon. I thought, let's just try it again. It was fun. It was really enjoyable, I mean, listen, they're not cheap, Emily. If you're looking for a more cost-effective or a cheaper massage, you can usually find them in the ports that you're visiting. But on Royal Caribbean, let me tell you something. At least you don't have to worry about the quality. You have to worry about, oh gosh, is this a shady place or not? Good quality. I've never left a massage feeling like it was not good. Certainly, they can be pricey, but between specials on board the ship and deals before the cruise, at least you have an idea of what you're getting in with in terms of costs, and I enjoy them. So yeah, I think they are worth it. But again, you could also take that money and spend on other things, which is true of pretty much everything in life. If someone has never been on a cruise before, what duration do you recommend going on? Great question. A lot of first-time cruisers say, oh, I've never been on a cruise, so let me take the shortest cruise possible, like a 3 or 4 night cruise. And I think that's a mistake. And the reason why I think a short cruise for a first-timer is a mistake is because the cruise is over so quickly, you don't have a good amount of time to get a sense of what there is to do on board. It's actually, in my opinion, better to do like a 7-night cruise. For a first-timer, that way you get a good blend of sea days, port days. Also, most Royal Caribbean cruise ships that are new do the 7-night cruises. So you're going to get, not always, I mean, you pick a 7-night cruise on an older ship, but you're going to get probably a chance at one of their newer ships, which are, more impressive, has more to do on board. So a 7-night cruise on an Oasis or a Quantum or an Icon class cruise ship, I think is a great idea for a first-time cruiser. Not to say you can't have a good time on a shorter cruise, but just saying. What's your top excursion for Aruba and Curacao? Aruba is Palm Beach or Eagle Beach. Curacao, I like to walk downtown, explore on your own, and then when you get kind of hot or after you have lunch, whatever happens first, take a taxi to Mambo Beach. So Palm Beach or Eagle Beach for Aruba, and you can take a taxi. You don't need to book anything in advance. For Curacao, walk downtown, explore, shop, have lunch, and then take a taxi to Mambo Beach, M-A-M-B-O. How do I feel about Resort for a Day? Love Resort for a Day. Full disclosure, we have an affiliate sponsorship with resortforaday.com, but you have to click on the link in order for that to kick in. Anyway, I've used them. I use them for myself and my family all the time. When I was on Navigator of the Seas a couple weeks ago, we booked a Resort for a Day stay in Puerto Vallarta. So I use them all the time. I think they're great. It's very straightforward. I think they do a great job. Will Utopia of the Seas be better than Wonder of the Seas? Great question. And the answer is, better is a subjective term, right? What do you mean by better? It'll be slightly bigger and it'll be newer. There will be differences when it comes to the Oasis class ships, between Wonder and Utopia. There's going to be different entertainment on Utopia compared to Wonder. There's also going to be a couple of dining differences on Utopia compared to Wonder. Namely, there will be Izumi in the park. There'll be Giovanni's Italian Kitchen in a new location. There'll be no Wonderland. There'll be the new immersive dining experience, the train car thing that we've seen a little bit of a teasing of down on deck 4. So there'll be subtle differences, not major ones. Is that better than Wonder? Depends on your preference, I guess, more than anything. So possibly. What hotel to recommend if flying to Orlando and cruising out of Port Canaveral? You have two choices. Well, more than two, but I mean, your choice is either you're going to go to the port and Cocoa Beach area and get a hotel there, or stay in Orlando and get a hotel and then drive over the next day. There's not right or wrong answer. Hotels in Canaveral tend to be more expensive because there's fewer of them, whereas in Orlando, which is a major tourist market, there's a ton of hotels you can choose from. Um, you know, the Home 2 Suites in Canaveral was fantastic. I like that. I stayed there recently and I like that quite a bit. So, yeah. Can you give me a tip that's not well known and I probably not know? A real head scratcher for you. I think one that comes to my mind, there's probably more than this, but one that comes to my mind is the old trick if you're cruising solo to book a second fake person. What I mean by this is if you're cruising by yourself, you may be inclined to go to the website and put in one person. Sometimes it's actually cheaper to book two people, but you're saying, well, I don't have a second person. Make up a name. Put your spouse, brother, mother, make up a name. It doesn't really matter. When they don't, it's okay if there's a no-show for that second person. But in many cases, I found this to be cheaper than booking it solo. The only issue with this little tip that I'm just sharing with you, that's a financial tip. The problem with that tip is Royal Caribbean seems to have changed their policy in regards to the Crown and Anchor points, because once upon a time, you would still get double points with that little trick. Nowadays, I don't think that's still the case. So that could be an issue if you're trying to move up the system quicker. You'll still get Crown and Anchor points. There's not the same amount as if you book cruise by yourself, but it is a way to save money sometimes. Thoughts on virtual balcony inside cabins? It's better than a regular inside cabin. It's not a replacement for a balcony, but it is an upgrade from a regular inside cabin. And is Wi-Fi worth it? If you're going to Alaska, actually, one of my friends, Earl, is on Ovation currently. He actually asked for a refund. The Wi-Fi in Alaska is really bad for two reasons. One, the latitude, you're really far north, and two, there's a lot of mountains that prevent the signal from coming in. So if I was going to Alaska, I'd be very excited. I would still buy it because I have RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com, and that's important to be, if I'm connected half the day, that's better than nothing at all. But it's a frustrating experience with the Wi-Fi. So it depends on how important the Wi-Fi is. The good news is when you're in port, your cell phones work and they work quite well. But as soon as you leave port, it's gone. 139 days till Oasis. My ship stops at Labadee and CocoCay. What is unique to each island? So Labadee and CocoCay are Royal Caribbean's private destination. So when you go there, these are places that are operated by the cruise line. So there's no cultural things there. But what is interesting about them, they both have beach experiences that you can go to. And of course, your ship will be the only ship there in terms of no other cruise lines, that is. Sometimes you might have another Royal Caribbean cruise ship at CocoCay with you. But you've got beaches, you've got pools. For both of them, both Labadee and CocoCay, Nicholas, we have video walkthrough tours to give you an idea of what to expect. My best advice, this sounds self-serving because it kind of is, but I mean this honestly. You want to go to our YouTube channel here and watch those video tours to get you a sense of what to expect over there. I love the Oasis Lagoon at CocoCay is really fantastic and something you only find at CocoCay. In Labadee, obviously they have amazing beaches as well, but also the Adrenaline zip line, the Adrenaline Beach is the name. The Dragon's Breath zip line is really cool. So those are two things that really step out there. Does Royal Caribbean offer payment plans? They do. Yes, there is. I forget the name of the company, but there is a service you can go through to do a payment plan, Matt. My advice to you, though, I mean, by the way, one of the things, if you don't want to do a payment plan, like as in those kind of payment plans are a credit card, like there's a finance fee, but you can keep paying your cruise after your cruise occurs. But if you want to make payments between, like you have a cruise in 2024 and you want to make payments between now and your cruise, but not finance them, you can totally do that. Just call up periodically and make payments. You don't have to finance it. The financing thing, the thing I was initially talking about, that is meant for people who want to finance the cost of their vacation beyond when they sail. My advice to you is don't do it. If you need that kind of financing, I hate to say it, you shouldn't go on the cruise. You can't afford it. You should only go on vacation in general, and when you can afford it, you don't pay it off at once, but you should be able to pay it off between now and your travel date. Anyway, I know you didn't come for financial advice. It's just my own personal opinion. But there is ways to make payments between now and your final payment date, and your travel agent can help you with that as well. You usually spend the whole day at port on port days. It depends on the port. It depends on my plan. So, like if we're going to do Like if we go through a resort for a day and we book a resort stay, we spend the whole day. But sometimes we'll, like in Nassau, I might just get off the ship for an hour, have a beer in town, and come back on board the ship. Sometimes if it's a long day in port, maybe we'll only spend the morning. And when it gets too hot, we come back to the cruise ship. I know it's kind of a lame answer. It depends, but it does really depend. I'm not always in port all the time or not in port all the time right there. So how long does the muster drill take? As long as it takes for you to walk down to the station. I mean, there's 3 steps. The first step is for you to watch the safety video. The second step is for you to listen to the emergency drill. Both of those steps are done through the Royal Caribbean app. The last step for you to do is simply report to your muster station. They'll scan your CPAS card. If it takes 5 minutes, that's a pretty long one, quite frankly, which I absolutely love. They've done a great job with that. That is all the time I have time for today. Thank you so much for everybody for being here. Thank you to all our super chatters. You guys are amazing. As you know, super chats are never expected or required, but always appreciated when people do that. Thank you all so much. Next week, we'll be live, I hope, fingers crossed, at home with you guys to do another YouTube live here on YouTube. Until then, have a great week, everybody. Stay safe out there. Do something fun. We'll talk again very soon right here on YouTube. Bye, everybody.